Oh, welcome. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 on Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. It's the regular board meeting of Comox Valley Schools. The Board of Education acknowledges that we are on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. We would like to thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working with their children. I'm just going to welcome everyone here tonight and then just do a little test for our trustees that are online. Can you unmute and let us know that you can hear us? Trustee Leslie and Trustee Masak?
I can hear just fine.
Great, thank you.
There it is. I got it.
Perfect.
On
Yay.
a different phone. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for joining us online. All right. We're moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Trustee Kate, could I have you read the motion for me, please? Thank you.
I find the lighting in here, I need glasses.
Okay.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 71 Comox Valley adopt the March 17th, 2026 regular meeting agenda as presented.
Seconder, please. Trustee Aldinger, thank you. Seeing no hands raised, all those in favor of adoption of the agenda? And I see some hands raised. Can I just need a few. Thank you. Thank you. That's carried. Susan and Christy, I will need some sort of signal that you're raising your hand because we only have 3 trustees in person, so we need to ensure that we have enough votes to move things along. Thank you. Next is the adoption of the board meeting minutes. Trustee Aldinger.
The Board of Education of School District 71 Comox Valley adopt the February 24, 2026 regular board meeting minutes as presented.
And seconder, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Trustee Payton. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. And moving on to agenda item number 6, record of in-camera meeting minutes. There was a regular in-camera meeting on February 24th, 2026, and a closed committee of the whole meeting on March the 10th, 2026. We do not have any presentations or delegations this evening. So moving on to section 8 of our agenda this evening. Just wanted to share a couple of things with the board. The first is, I guess we will always be, now that daylight savings time is what it is, or whatever they're calling it now, we will be remaining on this current time frame for the foreseeable future. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it works in terms of doing our board business and the work with Comox Valley Schools, with the mornings being darker, the evenings being lighter, and just moving forward. I just think it's a point in time that is important to acknowledge, and the positives and maybe not so positives that it may have on our school community. I just wanted to share that I know that there were some trustees and quite a few staff that attended the recent production, the district production of Beetlejuice Jr. And it was once again a great production of the combined efforts of our fine arts drama students from our high schools that come together to create one week-long performance opportunity in our district. And I was there, and it was great to see so many folks from the district participating with pleasure in the crowd, and all of the work of our staff and the volunteers and the students for the performance. I just wanted to highlight that. I know that the superintendent spoke of it at our last meeting, that it was upcoming. Just wanted to share that. I wanted to highlight that we had our semi-annual gathering of school trustees on Vancouver Island and the islands recently, hosted by the Cowichan School District and the Gulf Island School District. It brought over 70 trustees together to learn from each other and have presentations from the different districts. And it's always a great takeaway on to be able to reflect on what we're doing in our district, the good work, as well as the good work happening in other districts around us. And lastly, that for many, it's the countdown to spring break. And I hope that that the weather is what you want it to be, and that everybody is safe. And for those that do get spring break within our school community, that you have a restful time, and just to acknowledge and thank the many staff that spring break is their time to actually get a lot of the work done when students aren't in the classrooms or in our facilities. And just wanted to shout out to them as well. And that's my report. And over to Superintendent.
All right, well, tonight I'll touch on a few activities that are happening throughout the district. Wanted to start by acknowledging that last Friday we had there was a very successful STEAM event for girls at Quinish, and run again by dedicated teachers, ensuring that there's lots of opportunities. As well, we've had our careers educational team creating opportunities for middle year students to explore future pathways through experiential learning. There's been some recent focus days on automotive and construction delivered in partnership with NIC and supported by Skilled Trades BC, which gave students the chance to learn directly from industry professionals. Students have also explored sheet metal work through a partnership with the Construction Foundation of BC. They've participated in job shadow experiences with local employers like Taco Bandino and engaged in events such as Find Your Fit and Guess My Job, which introduced them to a wide range of careers, including things from hydroponic farming to underwater robots. In our French immersion program, past few weeks, students have had the opportunity to work with Montreal-based slam poet Elamo, who spent a week engaging students across multiple schools. Through performances and workshops delivered entirely in French, students explored identity, voice, and creative expression through spoken word. Grateful to the Canadian Parents for French and Immerse Arts for their support to make this opportunity possible. Elementary students came together for an annual curling fun spiel at the Comox Valley Curling Center, culmination of weeks of learning the sport. And the event is a great example of teamwork, sportsmanship, and community partnership. And we are grateful to the Curling Club and longtime organizer and former district staff member, Mickey Colburn, for making that experience possible. We've also seen the impact of inclusive student-centered programming through the new Inclusive Education Play program at the Comox Recreation Center. This pilot initiative is creating welcoming spaces for elementary age students of all abilities to build confidence and to explore movement through adapted activities like bocce and floorball. Students from Comox Valley Schools brought home an impressive 26 medals at the Skills Canada North Island Regional Competition held in Campbell River, which showcased their talent, creativity, and technical skills across a wide range of events. So senior students earned medals in competitions which included 2D animation, automotive service, electronics, photography, welding, culinary arts, video production, and cabinet making. And middle and elementary school students won gold in the Spaghetti Bridge competition and Lego Mindstorms, and reached the podium in robotics, engineering, and wind turbine events. So again, congratulations to all those students, the teachers and career program staff who support these hands-on learning experiences. And then I would just like to echo Chair Wade and acknowledge the accomplishments of our students who are in theater and the fine arts. So we had our secondary improv teams. I think we updated around regionals, but they had outstanding results at the Island Championships just recently, with GP Vanier and Mark Isfeld earning top placements, and Isfeld's Stagecation team advancing to nationals in Ottawa for the first time for their school. And again, just echoing congratulations to the cast and crew and all of the teachers that support the District Musical Beetlejuice Junior this year, and for their 5 sold-out shows. And then lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge that although we feel like a little bit smaller today, we are able to welcome Harold Cole, our Secretary-Treasurer, who is here in person for his first public meeting of the Board of Education. We're grateful to bring Harold in at such a critical time for our district as we engage with the budget and do the important work through business services that supports our learners in the classroom. So welcome tonight to this table, Harold. And with that, as we head into spring break, I wish all of our staff who are taking a break, a well-deserved break, to rest and recharge, and to our students and families, we hope you have a safe and enjoyable break. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next area of our agenda is 8C is trustee reports, and there are two reports in this section. The first is the BCSTA Provincial Council report provided by trustee McConnell-Keene. And the second report is the Indigenous Education Council report provided by trustee Maysack. And Christy, is there anything that you wanted to highlight regarding the IEC report? And then I'll open up the floor to trustees to see if they have questions on or comments on either of the reports.
Thank you. No, it was very in-depth and I learned a lot, and it was a great opportunity that day to hear a little bit more in depth about the position of our lovely Lynn Swift and Jesse Everson, and got to learn a little bit more of the programs that were offered too, which are really exciting to hear about some of the programs that are going on for students. And yeah, just basically wanted to share some of the upcoming dates. So if anybody has any questions, I'll do what I can to answer.
Great, thanks very much, Christy. I'm looking remote to see if Susan's got her hand up or if any of the trustees have any questions or comments, and I don't think there are any at this time. So thank you, Christy and Chelsea, who's not able to be here tonight, for your work representing the board in these roles. Next is our standing committee report section. Just for everyone's information, our next open committee of the whole meeting is May the 12th at 7 p.m. in this location. And we have no report from our ad hoc policy committee board, or we have no report from our ad hoc policy committee. I had something with sugar in it and I can feel it. But it was good. So I'm going to try to slow down. The next ad hoc policy committee meeting is April the 7th, 2026. And next, moving on to information items. I don't believe we have anything to share under our learning services category tonight, but under our business services, I guess that's where it's going, is our district progress, our winter district progress report. Superintendent, would you like to?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chair. This would fit under either learning services and business services. It's a bit of an update of some of the district functions that have occurred in the months of December, January, and February. It's the second of our quarterly reports. So the next quarterly report can be expected in the June board meeting that would cover March, April, and May of this year. It is not, it's a fairly fulsome report in terms of length, pages 15 to 41 in the board package, but it doesn't fully capture all of the work, nor does it fully capture all of the challenges associated with that work. But there is a summary there of some of the departments and district work that's taken place over those last 3 months.
Just looking to see if any trustees have any questions or comments about the report. Trustee Eldinger?
Yeah, I have a couple. First, just thank you. It's really great to get such a, it's not absolutely everything, but it's a really good high-level view of some of, fair amount of what's going on in the district. At page 16, there's a reference to the work being done on the equity scan. Just find it in my notes. And I guess my question is whether there will be another update to the board that gets woven into some of the budget work that we'll be doing. So between now and making decisions around budget, will we be getting any further update?
Yeah, thanks. I probably could answer that, but since we have Associate Superintendent Heslop, why don't we make sure we get it very accurate?
Thank you. I'll try not to run on. I'm pretty passionate about this. There are a number of data sets that are being analyzed right now. There are a number of recommendations, early recommendations based upon some of that data, knowing because we anticipated that question prior to our meeting last month. And so we looked through a number of the data sets and we asked for some preliminary pieces from that group, and the district equity scanning team does have some recommendations, and there will likely be a specific ask at some point to the Board of Education, knowing that this is a opening, that the fulsome report will be after, like it will be after this budget cycle, knowing that this will impact multiple budgets. This isn't going to be a 1 year and we'll fix all concerns with regards to equity.
And then I would just add to that as well that there will be, I believe, a number of recommendations that will be about us doing some things in a different way and not just connected to specific additions in terms of a budget. So I think that's going to be another really deep challenge embedded in the equity scan recommendations is the calling out of things that we need to change and do in a fundamentally different way.
Something else to add?
Just say, money alone can never fix what the equity scan is meant to do.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the question. It is part of the equation. Thank you.
Agreed.
And I'm just doing a little scan and I don't see any other trustee hands up. Did you have another question for curiosity? I thought you said you had more than one, so.
Yeah. I was interested in seeing the inclusion of some information about the school food programs that are underway and the remarkable success it seems that our district is having. I've also heard that one of the pinch points is getting some of the infrastructure actually into buildings or hooked up in buildings, and that's just one of the obstacles that some of the remaining schools are experiencing. And I'm wondering if there's any possibility of an update on what that's looking like.
Well, I can confirm that that is a pinch point. So we're actually just working on how we can prioritize that. We have been generously funded, particularly through the federal dollars, that can be directly utilized to improve infrastructure. And we have a number of infrastructure requests. We're just trying to figure out how we can get to those infrastructure requests in such a way with all of the other competing priorities as well. So we'll be able to report more fulsomely, probably in the April board meeting.
I had maybe more of a comment on the report, and again, many thanks to many people involved in the creation of this. I think they are well, not everybody is excited about reading as fulsome a document as this, unless you have a specific or vested interest in Comox Valley School District. But they're going to be such a historical reference to the district and to boards as we move forward. And so I really do honor the work that everybody has put in to their area of the report, and then to our to Craig for the work that you do to pull it all together. So I want to share that. I may have shared that with the first one, and I'm just as excited about the second one. But one of the things I find, as much as the information in it is important, I really appreciate how the challenges are captured. And thinking about the employment rate and where we're at in British Columbia, but how many of the departments are still seeking those specialized positions in order to bring their team complement up to where it needs to be in order to best support our students in our district. I just found that it was just referenced so many times. And I also think that that the challenge section is also a good piece for us to think about as we're walking through the budget process, is that these are like real-time examples of some of the pressure points, and maybe another way for us to look for allocation of resources, though we don't necessarily want the report to get larger, but that it is a great opportunity to have that kind of snapshot. And so it's, yeah, I see all sorts of benefits from this report, including, again, how the challenges are articulated and what the challenges are.
Can I respond? There's a couple of things. One, I think we've really recognized. The first one, we were just grateful to get one done. The second one, we now need to start thinking about how can we improve it. And one of the ways that we're looking at is taking a 24, 25-page document and translating it into a really high-level, readily discernible pamphlet, almost very readable, that doesn't require the commitment of 45 minutes of reading. So we're working to get that out. We really do recognize that this can be a method to improve communications around what's taking place centrally. And then I think we're just seeing across our system, while we have plans in place often for, as disruptive and problematic as it can be at the classroom, we have TTOCs and casual support staff that often can be used for replacement. And we're just finding in some of these specialized departments in specialized position when there's a leave, it just is not, there isn't a readily available list of people to access to support those positions. So I think we're seeing what we're experiencing what we are hearing across the province. So I don't think we're unique in that way, but I would expect those challenges to be an ongoing one within our sector for the foreseeable future.
You and I are playing this game, and I did the seating, so I apologize to you. I'm gonna move on and see if there's a trustee that could move the motion for receipt of this document.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, receive the 2026 Winter District Progress Report as presented.
I'm going to look online for a seconder. Thank you, Trustee Leslie. And all those in favor, please. Please show. Okay, thank you. And that's carried. No opposed. All right, moving on to the next agenda item is our 2026-27 budget update by our Secretary Treasurer, Harold Huff. And welcome.
Great, thank you, Michelle. The timing worked out well in terms of the agenda and having the budget piece come and following the progress report. Good to hear those conversations around the equity scan and the work, and then the budget impacts the requirements after that. So it's good to hear that education and our work in the classrooms are driving those resources as opposed to the budget driving the work that we do in our classrooms. So I just want to kind of make that connection. The other piece is, as we continue to mature as an organization, it'll be good to, as we have these regular progress reports of the work that we're doing, also accompany it with the financial statements as well, or the financial report on, this is what we've done and these are the resources that we've used to do it. So that's something we'll continue to strive for. In terms of the 26-27 budget update, just have a quick one tonight, given that we had the engagement session last week. I wanted to thank the people that were able to attend that. I thought it was a positive kind of kicking off, kind of in-person conversation around the next year's budget process. So I appreciate everybody's who was there and participated in the conversation. It was, like I said, it was a great start. A couple things I wanted to update the group and the board on since that meeting last week. the ministry instructions. So we have received the budget instructions from the Ministry of Education and Childcare. And they have confirmed that the per pupil funding is the same amount as in previous years, that any collective agreement increases will be funded through a special grant and then rolled into the next year's budget once those amounts are known. So as expected, that was confirmed. We did get some good news on the revenue side. So our revenue is going to be up slightly than we anticipated in the number we had provided last week into the tune of about 142,000. So that's good. We'll be able to provide, I'll ask Jennifer and Candace put together a more detailed report based on the numbers coming from the ministry for the board's meeting in April. We just got that information just after we pressed send on the board package for this meeting, so we weren't able to get it into tonight's package. So we'll make sure we'll do that for the month of April. The other piece I want to talk about is the budget working group. We had a conversation about that last week on having a composition of a group with some school-based administrators, some finance staff, and the executive working through some of the budget challenges and the conversations. We had our first meeting this morning, very spirited conversation around getting the group together, really focusing on the feedback that we heard through the consultation process and starting to brainstorm some ideas about mitigation strategies on what we could start to present to the board in the months of April and May as the board considers and debates the annual budget bylaw. So it was a good process there to start off with. We have another 3 meetings set for after the break to be able to do that heavy work in terms of bringing some recommendations forward to the board. So those are the 2 pieces that I wanted to report out on the 26-27 budget, and more than willing to answer any questions that any trustees may have.
Caitlin?
Thank you. I just have a question with respect to the recent announcement by the provincial government that has a direct impact to those families and students with autism, and the fact that many of our students do require that extra special support in the classroom, and the lack and the changing of funding possibly have an impact on them getting ready to school and on that one there. And I'm wondering, through our budget process and through the conversations, are we looking at maybe adjusting that if there's needs within that group of individuals and families, with that funding now being drastically changed within those families that support those students getting into school, especially with those with high needs of autism? I'm just wondering how that, because that would impact our students in the classroom and the support that they would need. So I'm just curious if there's any conversation or any thought of what that has an impact on those students in our classrooms and our schools.
Who's looking at who?
Joe, do you want to maybe start us off?
Yeah, I'll start us off. Yeah, we are aware of that, and I would say that in inclusive ed, we are. What I would even go back to when this was rolled out or was floated at the ministry with regards to designations, that all students, regardless of designation, are provided with that support. So we're constantly assessing where those pressure points are at the school level. And always, inclusive ed is, we are always advocating for working towards creative solutions for students. And that might mean allocating staff in different places and making up, I guess, for any concerns that might be brought forward from your question with regards to the province. So to meet the needs of the students, that's why we're here, and then we'll allocate those resources that we have accordingly.
Thank you. Any other questions from trustees regarding the Secretary Treasurer's budget update? I too want to echo and acknowledge the public engagement session and the information that was shared. I would say that this year the public and community would be hard pressed to say that we're not providing as much information and as much opportunity as we can and transparency in how we're creating the 2026-27 budget. And thank you to the Secretary Treasurer and all of the finance team and everybody else behind the scenes for making that happen.
I can't see Christy's hands up.
Oh, thank you. Christy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I unfortunately wasn't able to attend the public session, but it was really lovely to hear from our meetings with our partner groups as well. And I look forward to still meeting with our rights holders groups. And I think that that went really positive with this budget process. And it was nice to be able to hear one-on-one from everyone.
Steve. All right, so moving on to the next agenda item.
We have a motion.
Oh, we do, thank you very much. Looking for a trustee to, please, Shannon?
That the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, received the 2026-27 budget update as presented.
And a seconder by trustee Maysack. And all those in favor, please indicate. And that's carried. Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Board business. We have one item under board business under new business. We have a revised board committee list before the trustees tonight for approval. Trustee McConnell-Keene has stepped down from the ad hoc policy committee, and there's a change now to the complement of the committee. Once the board goes through the motion process. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Trustee McConnell-Keene for her work in chairing the committee and her time and energy on being a committee member. And so there is a motion that I will read, hoping for a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, approve the revised 2025-26 board committee positions as presented. As presented. Is it? That's sugar again, presented March 17th, 2026. And a mover for the motion, please. Trustee Leslie, thank you. And a seconder? Thank you. Trustee Maysack, was that your hand up? Perfect, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate. It's carried. Thank you very much. There were trustees not raising their hands because their names were involved, if anybody was wondering what was going on. So thank you very much for that. And I before, there's no correspondence this evening. And before we move to public question period to the board at 7:34, I just want to share with the Secretary Treasurer that our meetings are not normally this succinct. So maybe with you, that's what will happen, but it's generally not the case that we've finished our business. Often we are right up to the edge, and it just happened with the ebb and flow of the work for tonight. So just putting you on notice.
That's fair. It's been a couple of weeks since the board last met too, so.
Yeah,
it's
that's
usually
true. Yeah, we are meeting 2 weeks
Exactly.
sooner than we normally do.
Yeah, duly noted.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask if there are any online questions. No. Okay, thank you. And then I'll turn to the public who are present. And do you have any questions regarding the information in our agenda package tonight? Please go ahead, Joanne.
I'll start with the most recent that pertains to the ad hoc policy committee. Just for the benefit of partner groups and people trying to understand the board governance, I'm curious if the board can help the public understand the purpose of the ad hoc policy committee. Is the role primarily to develop governance policies for the board, operational policies for the district, or to help set the overall tone and direction of the district's work?
I'm gonna start. And so it's a great question. And I have to back us up in time just a little bit. So at the end of the last term, the previous board created a new structure to do its work. We had the regular public board meeting process, but we created a committee of the whole structure that the intent was to capture policy, finance, facilities, and governance. And what we found early on in this term was that there wasn't enough time allotted for policy work. And policy work is many of the things that you've indicated. It's governance of the board, policy pertaining to governance of the board. It's policy containing to direction for the district. And I can't remember what the other piece of that was.
Operational policies, right?
So operational policies, administrative procedures. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And so what the board did this term was they created an ad hoc policy, an ad hoc committee specifically for policy. And that committee, based on its terms of reference, is driven by, my understanding, is driven by the direction of the board. So the board will direct the committee to do a task. There has been some information received by the ad hoc policy committee that then the committee presents to the board for direction of the board. So an example recently is we had a request made for a policy for sanctuary schools. So the board then directed the ad hoc policy committee to come back with a draft for the board to review. Prior to us having an ad hoc policy committee, in prior terms, there was a standing committee for policy, which terms of reference were different. So if you're wondering if it feels different, it's because it is different. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that we've observed is that there are times where this current process is clunky. And so we have the opportunity to consider, the board has the opportunity to consider if this is the process that we would like to continue moving forward. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Or did I answer all the points? And I'm looking to the trustees to see if I've.
Well, I'm curious within the ad hoc, sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm curious within that ad hoc committee, what is the process for differentiating whether the information that is provided to the ad hoc committee to come up with a report to bring back to the board, whether it falls under a board governance umbrella or whether it falls under an operational umbrella? How does the ad hoc committee make that distinction?
I might have to get back to you on that.
I'm just curious if the board was, if we're sitting in a meeting and the board was to present, I can't think of a more recent time, but if the board was to receive a report and identify that that's something the ad hoc committee should take back and work on, does the ad hoc committee have the ability to come back to the board and say, we actually feel that this falls more under operational guidelines rather than our governance preview of the board?
I don't know if we've had that. We haven't had that occur.
Okay.
I don't believe. I'm looking to the superintendent.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the way that the APs do set sort of the values, the direction, the tone, the culture, that's the policies, and then administrative procedures are the pragmatic ways that staff action that. And so it would not be unlikely that a policy, let's just say sanctuary schools policy, would likely also require an administrative procedure to action it. So there would be a more general sort of values-based, this is what we want to see, and then the AP should describe how we are actioning it and making it happen. So they do go together very cohesively, and our policies, our APs should be the pragmatic application of the governance policies.
Okay, thank you.
And another example might be, I don't know what the pathway, and this is part of the clunky pathway piece, is that sometimes the ministry says, you must create a policy on X, but they're using the word policy, which we take as a certain way, but often what they want a district to do is more operational, and it should really be an AP. And so, you know, there could be times where, depending on which way it flows, it could come to a committee, or it could come to the board first, like, and then determine, should it be an AP, or what is the recommendation, and then working with the superintendent, because APs aren't the purview of the board to approve. So we receive any changes in the public meetings, but we don't approve them.
Yep. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, I think and I'm going to turn to the Secretary Treasurer. I know you have only been here a short while, but you've much experience with policy process, I suspect.
Yeah, and I think you stated it very well. You know, the board does that governance piece through the policy. I think the question was around about, does the committee could come back to the board and have a conversation, but as the corporate board, the board is making that decision if the committee is going to do that work, and then the work is done at the committee level and brought back to the full board for debate, and then, you know, if it's get passed or not. So, it's you know, kind of one direction, and then the work comes back.
Okay.
And then another example that may help or not is, in the previous term, there was an AP that the board, or there was a decision that an AP was going to become both a policy and then an AP, and that was the equity and non-discrimination policy that came into being the equity and non-discrimination policy. And an ad hoc committee was formed for that specific policy. So there were members of the policy committee on that committee, and then members, representatives from the district, representatives from our partner groups who sat on that committee, and its only purpose was the development of the equity and non-discrimination policy. And then once that committee finished its work and moved it to the board, then that committee, the terms of that committee were met, and then that committee was completed. But it was struck for a specific policy. And I'm just looking at Trustee Caton, because she was a member of the policy committee at the time. My memory,
I was chair of the committee at the time. Yes, you are correct.
Thank you.
Kind of. I'm just looking at the terms of reference that you said something about terms of reference. I'm just looking up on the website under the Board of Education, looking to see where these committees are in the terms of reference. Where would one find them?
I'm not sure if you'd find the terms of reference for an ad hoc committee on the website. I believe that generally when there's a report from the committee in your package, the terms of reference may form part of the committee report. But I can't be 100% sure. But I believe that that's where, I believe that's where they sit.
I have another question, but it's off that.
Okay, a different topic?
Completely different topic.
Okay.
So it's through the board, most likely going this way. In the progress report, it notes that increasing parent awareness of race and emergency preparedness is an ongoing focus. What plans does the district have to help families understand how they can report concerns and how threat assessment processes work?
And you're referring to the,
It's on page 25 in the winter progress report,
right?
where it states that a race is increasing parent awareness, or the district is working on increasing parent awareness of race.
Yeah, through the chair, I will pass that on to Associate Superintendent Jay Dixon, who is here tonight.
One of the reasons and strategies that it was put in this report is that exact intention. We need to get word out in any avenue. It was placed in this report, hopefully to get some airtime in this meeting. But following spring break, working with the communication manager in our schools to do a reboot, refresh, some more messaging. Thank you for the invite to the DPAC meeting to get messaging out about Erase. I think with recent events in our province, there's even more of an interest from families, from educators to kind of find out what it's all about. I think we need to do a little bit differently. I think we plan on starting to use some social media platforms, pushing some videos out about Erase, some of the little new flyers. I would anticipate the province in the months ahead will have some supplementary guidance due to the recent events. Greg and I will be not only at your meeting, but trying to find other avenues through the schools, not just Erase, but also our drills, some of the information around what different types of drills are, and what is fair notice and threat assessment. I don't think it ever stops, but it's a good reminder to start scheduled basis throughout the year to advertise. Another thing that was added to that quarterly report that I encourage every parent, I've signed up for it myself, is the parent notification. It's on our website. There's a link there on the non-paper copy that should be in there. That brings you to where you can sign up for notifications in the event of any major emergencies, or if there's something happening in a school, we often will push this text notification out. So things are coming soon, and we're always looking for suggestions on how we can widen that scope. So please reach out if you have ways that we can do that. And it is important that we do so. Fortunately, we recently had threat assessment training last week with about almost 90-ish people across our district and some neighboring districts. And part of the messaging in that meeting as well was how do we get the word out and continue to do it? Yeah, great question. Thank you.
We're running out of,
Hope that answered kind of where you're at.
do you have a,
Very quick.
what do I call it, follow-up?
Yeah, running right to the chair, probably to Jay. Just provide clarification regarding Erase. Is it something that you would categorize as mostly for students, or is this something that should be used for anybody in the school system, like parents, caregivers, or is it, or staff, or do you really just want students?
If you look at the Erase videos and resources, they're designed primarily for students reporting, whether it's confidential, anonymous. It is utilized by parents to support their students to report things. It is designed for a student reporting tool. We would urge all parents to reach out directly to their principals. All staff should be reaching out to their supervisors, staff. It is, erase tool is not for staff. It is for students. Okay.
Answer your question?
Can I just add just one thing? And I think, we do have preferred methods, but we'd rather have it reported, even if it's through a race, right? Even if it's staff reporting through a race, it's not the primary tool for reporting, but we would welcome if that's the way that person feels most comfortable. But I would also I just wanted to point out too, that the erase communication is put in under the challenges, recognizing that it's not yet fully socialized or running at the capacity that we think it's capable of doing. And I think it's a tool. When that report there is immediate follow-up. It's basically a 24 hours opportunity to report. And so sometimes, we'll have a student who feels like they've woken up with something on their mind and they can share it at 3 a.m. and before the school day starts, the principal has it. There's accountability to return. So the erase report tool is a really powerful mechanism for sharing, and we acknowledge that it is something that's not yet fully capitalized yet.
And then if you haven't found it already, Shannon did take a peek, and the terms of reference for the policy committee, the ad hoc policy committee, are attached to each report. And I believe that there was one for the February meeting. So if you want to have a look, and if you have any trouble finding it, which I'm sure you won't, just let us know. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Turning the page.
On page 26, under inclusive learning update, at the bottom, it says district teachers have presented to the competency-based IEP prevention working group on piloting an AI agent for supporting the creation of learning goals and objectives. I'm curious how you will reassure parents, whether correctly or incorrectly, about privacy, confidentiality, and personalized learning if AI is being used for the creation of learning goals and objectives.
The chair, Jay, or Joe, sorry.
So while I have don't have firsthand knowledge for this, I know since they are working through the provincial level that there are AIs that are locked down. This would not be. I'll bet everything I have, we're not using ChatGPT for this sort of. These would be under specific lockdown methods where they're not shared out because of the sensitivity of the data. So it won't be self-learning with regards to our students.
And that we'd be happy to get more information. Sure, back. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I apologize that I didn't understand how to speak. Were those all the questions? We kind of tapped out of 15 minutes, but I figured my response was pretty long. So that's my fault. All right. Seeing no further questions from the public during public question period, seeking a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, adjourn this meeting. Trustee Caton, Trustee Obinger. Seeing no discussion, which is not debatable. All those in favor, please show and down. And then